Good evening, I'm Cynthia Ng. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight. Malaysia reports 81% increase in suicide cases in 2021 compared to the year before. And Global Bersih demands immediate changes to postal voting system. That and more coming up. Face masks will no longer be mandatory on flights effective immediately. Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin said the decision was made following a risk assessment of the current COVID-19 situation and improvements to ventilation in aircraft cabins.
Khairy said the decision was also made in view of the low burden of COVID-19 cases on the public healthcare system now. However, the use of face masks are still encouraged for those exhibiting influenza-like symptoms, high-risk individuals, as well as those travelling with the elderly or children. The requirement of wearing face masks in planes is also subject to the rules set by other countries. On September 7th, MOH announced that face masks were no longer mandatory in most indoor settings, except in healthcare facilities and on public transport.
Police data shows that Malaysia recorded an 81% increase in suicides last year, with 1,142 reported cases compared to 631 cases in 2020. Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin pinpointed the rise of suicides to the pandemic, which he said had impacted people's mental health.
A similar trend was seen in a data analysis of the Ministry's psychosocial helpline from March 2020 until current day. Out of the 307,673 calls received, 74% of callers requested emotional support due to chronic stress, depression and anxiety. According to Khairy, contributing factors included financial issues such as loss of income or job, family conflicts, loss of loved ones and domestic abuse. Mental health remains a long-standing public health issue in the country. The 2019 National Health and Morbidity Survey found that over 2.3% of those aged 18 and above faced depression. To address the matter, MOH has distributed 6.2 million ringgit to 52 mental health NGOs to strengthen their work in providing support and psychosocial services to the community.
Meanwhile, Khairy said the decision to decriminalize suicide attempts lies in the hands of the Cabinet. He added that it also depends on whether the Home Ministry can be influenced to support decriminalization efforts.
Earlier, the Health Ministry submitted a memorandum to the Cabinet for a moratorium on the prosecution and conviction involving attempted suicides. Khairy explained the memorandum was an effort to decriminalize suicide attempts in Malaysia, as well as to defer or repeal sentencing of the offence until the law is amended. Under Section 309 of the Penal Code, those who attempt to commit suicide face a fine or prison sentence of up to 1 year or both. However, Khairy said the Cabinet was of the view that the matter would have to be finalised at the Attorney General's chambers before the government makes a decision. He added that a report on the AGC study of the matter will be discussed in an engagement session with stakeholders, including the Home Ministry and the police.
Employers hiring foreign workers are now required to receive them at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport upon their arrival. Immigration Department Director General Datuk Sri Khairul Zaimi Daud said this is to ensure that those coming in have legitimate employers.
Khairul said employers were responsible for the documentation of workers and verifying that they are the employers concerned. He added that the department's regulations will allow employers 6 hours to receive their workers at KLIA, but that period may be extended under certain circumstances. Foreign workers will not be released until their actual employer, as listed in the application, arrives at KLIA. Should bosses fail to comply with the regulation, the foreign workers will be issued a not-to-land notice and be sent home immediately. Since borders reopened, the department has managed the entry of 98,079 new workers from April 1st to September 26th.
Malaysia's average life expectancy at birth has declined from 74.4 years in 2012 to 73.4 years in 2022. This is attributed to the increase in the number of excess deaths during the pandemic.
The Statistics Department said the decrease in life expectancy was found among men and women for both Malaysians and non-Malaysians in the country. However, women are still projected to outlive men by 4.5 years this year. Among its ASEAN counterparts, Malaysia now has a lower life expectancy than Singapore, Thailand, Brunei and Vietnam. It is the biggest drop in life expectancy rates in the past 10 years. By state, Selangor had the highest life expectancy for the period between 2020 and 2022. Terengganu recorded the lowest rates for 2020 and 2021, while Kedah had the lowest life expectancy for this year.
Extreme teacher absenteeism is a form of corruption in the education system that exacerbates socio-economic inequity. What role does civil society play when government fails to address the problem? We ask our guests tonight on Consider This. We'll go for a quick break. Stay with us.
Sehat ialah satu cara hidup. Cara untuk minum dengan baik, makan dengan baik, dengan bahan-bahan segar dan pelbagai cara yang sihat untuk memasaknya. Bakar, kukus, masak, campur, jus. Khas untuk semua amatur dan bakar. Gaya hidup sihat yang memasak di hujung minggu, menyihatkan badan dan jiwa. Hidup sihat setiap hari bersama Panasonic.
Panasonic.
Welcome back. With talks of G15 possibly happening soon, there is an urgent need for the Election Commission (EC) to initiate changes to the current postal voting process. Global Bersih's Nirmala Devi Wingata said this is a vital process as Undi 18 and automatic voter registration will be in effect during the next elections.
There is a need to improve the existing system. We'll start with Election Commission should allow and open the registration process for overseas postal voting immediately. During GE14, we had 2.5 months to register as overseas postal voters. And during this time, we had a lot of problems. We had miscommunication of how to register. We didn't get confirmation. We didn't get information. And if that was the situation with 2.5 months, the question that we would like to ask EC is, how is it going to be now? If election happens in few months' time, how are we going to register? So the registration for overseas postal voting has to be opened immediately.
She also urged the EC to extend the campaigning period as well as ensuring latest information be made available at Malaysian embassies globally. This is done to assist the Malaysian diaspora to exercise their rights to vote.
And now we are talking post-COVID postal system now, which means that we believe, Bersih and Global Bersih believe that we need at least 21 to 25 days of campaign period that would ensure that Election Commission will have enough time to print our ballots, to send our ballots to overseas, and we will have enough time to mark the ballots and send them back. These are the major things that has to change immediately. And I'll give you another issue that overseas nations are facing now is we've always had the same problem during GE14. There's no information whatsoever how we do it, where we do it, when we do it. One of the examples now, if you open the Foreign Mission Office Canberra's homepage, you will see it's still written there that we have to be 21 in order to vote. If you look in the Paris of Malaysian Foreign Office, the embassy's website, it's there that we have to be in Malaysia for 30 days before we vote. All this has been changed, but it's still there as information. Where are we overseas Malaysians? Where are we going to get the information, right and updated information if it's not from the embassies? So basically, we're calling out for Election Commission to work with Wisma Putra to update all the information at the embassies that overseas Malaysians can reach out to the embassies and get the information we need.
Typhoon Nuru made landfall in Vietnam early this morning, knocking out power for more than 500,000 homes and causing flooding along the country's central region. Nuru struck the coast between Da Nang and Quang Nam at about 4 a.m. local time, with winds reaching 117 kilometers per hour. Authorities had earlier warned that Nuru would be the strongest typhoon to hit the country in 2 decades, bringing heavy rain, flash floods and landslides. Almost half of Vietnam's airports have been shut, while curfews were imposed in Da Nang and at least 3 other localities. So far, no deaths had been reported, and as of evening, Vietnam has downgraded Typhoon Nuru to tropical storm. Now over in Thailand, Typhoon Nuru is expected to make landfall in the northeastern part of the country tomorrow, prompting authorities to issue warnings for heavy rain and flooding.
The storm that made landfall in Vietnam is moving west at 20 kilometers per hour, headed to Laos and Thailand, with maximum winds of 150 kilometers per hour. Authorities expect Nuru to bring downpour and flash floods in north, northeast and central Thailand, with waves of up to 5 meters high in the Gulf of Thailand from tomorrow until October 1st. Earlier today, rain was already falling in Ubon Ratchathani, the northeastern province expected to be the worst hit. Many areas have already seen floods caused by seasonal monsoon rains. Authorities urged residents along the Moon River to move to higher ground as water is expected to overflow from the river's banks.
At least 76 protesters have been killed by Iranian security forces during 11 days of unrest sparked by the death of Mahsa Amini while in police custody. Iran Human Rights, a Norway-based organization, accused authorities of using disproportionate force and live ammunition to suppress the dissent. State media has put the number of dead at 41, including several security personnel, and blamed rioters. Hundreds of people have also been arrested, 20 of them journalists. The anti-government demonstrations have spread to more than 80 cities and towns across Iran since the funeral of Mahsa Amini on September 17th. Women around the world are also protesting in solidarity with Iran, including the US, UK, Argentina and Syria. The 22-year-old Amini had been visiting Tehran on September 13th when she was arrested by morality police officers for not wearing the hijab properly. She collapsed after being taken to a detention center and died in hospital following 3 days in a coma. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been named the kingdom's prime minister in a cabinet reshuffle ordered by King Salman bin Abdul Aziz. The reshuffle also sees second son, Prince Khalid, being appointed defense minister, while Prince Abdul Aziz bin Salman remains as energy minister.
The Crown Prince, known as MBS, was already de facto ruler of the world's biggest oil exporter. He previously served as deputy prime minister as well as defense minister. The appointment now formalizes his role as leader of the kingdom's government. It is in line with the king's previous delegation of duties to him, including representing the kingdom of foreign visits and chairing summits hosted by Saudi Arabia. The Crown Prince has radically transformed Saudi Arabia since rising to power in 2017, leading efforts to diversify the economy from its dependence on oil, allowing women to drive and curbing clerics' powers. His reforms, however, have also come with a crackdown on dissent, with royals, businessmen and activists jailed.
Over in the US, a teenage boy was killed and 4 others injured in a drive-by shooting at a high school in Philadelphia. Police said 2 gunmen ambushed a group of students outside Roxborough High School before firing at least 30 times.
After dismissal, at some point there was a scrimmage game down on the field between 3 high schools, Roxborough High School, Northeast High School, and Boys Latin Charter. That ended around 4:30 p.m. as those students, those players, are walking northbound up Peacham. We know at this point in time at least 2 individuals ambushed the group of students that are walking northbound on Peacham, striking 5 students total. 4 of those students were transported to local hospitals. Unfortunately, one of them, a 14-year-old boy, was pronounced at 5:09 p.m. The 5th student was treated here for a graze wound.
Police confirmed the 14-year-old boy was shot and later died from his injuries. 3 other teens ranging between 14 to 17 years old were taken to hospital in stable condition. No arrests have been made so far.
That is all we have for you on AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching.